And thank you so much for being here with us today and for taking the time to be part of this talk with these amazing powerhouse ladies. Today, we're gonna speak about performance in the broader sense, but also in a kind of a more restricted sense, what it is to somehow perform your being, what it is performance as a material, or an agency, or a methodology within the art world, within the art context, let's put it that way. Together with me, I have three older and newer friends, two amazing artists and one amazing curator. And I would properly read their CV because, otherwise I would tell her how much I love them, how much I appreciate them, and things like that that comes from the heart. But for the sake of this talk, we will start with Georgia Sagri, which is a visual artist from Athens, like myself, who explores political, social, and environmental themes through performance, sculpture, sound, and installation. Her work has been exhibited internationally at major institutions, such as MoMA, for example, in the Whitney Biennial, Palais de Tokyo, Kunstmuseum Liechtenstein lately. Sagri is the founder of an art space, also in Athens, a quite active art space with the name of Hile, Matter, and a great colleague and a friend. So you can see her work also here in Spark. We are lucky to have her with the Breeder Gallery. And apart from her drawings, there is also one work that it's a remaining or let's say her body hung in the wall. But she will speak more about that with us. I will introduce all three and then we will have three presentations from them and then a discussion. So next to Georgia is your own and quite known here, Bettina Busse, which is an art historian, but nevertheless, I will introduce. It's an art historian, a prolific author, an editor, a curator at the Bank Austria Kunstforum, Wien, here. And previously, she has worked as a curator at the MAC in Vienna as well. So, in 2003, she co-curated the Austrian Pavilion at the Venice Biennial and co-founded the Bruno Cognoli, Ginoculi estate. Currently, she's preparing a retrospective here in Vienna, lucky you, of Marina Abramovic, set to be exhibited in 2025. And this is what she's gonna talk about with us. And last but not least, next to me is Selva de Carvalho, sorry for that, all the way from Sao Paulo. Her practice as a visual artist includes embroidery, drawing as a base, but also with her research, she explores materiality, expressiveness, and the becoming of fabric. The performance is very much performing her pieces and performing and transitioning with them is very much part of her practice. And this is what she's going to be talking about with us. We will start with Georgia for a brief talk for about 80 minutes, we said, but whatever comes, it comes. And then after we hear all the three presentations, we will have a small conversation and eventually we're going to open up to you if you feel like it. Thank you very much. A big applause for our guests.
So, hi everyone. Thank you, Marina, for having us here. I'm very happy to be amongst new and old friends, as you said. So, first of all, I want to say, I don't know if all of you have seen the booth at the Breeder, F7. For the booth here at Spark, I share sides of my practice that they are mostly involve and explore embodiment, trauma, pain, and of course, exhaustion from the effects of constant labor across different mediums. For that reason, I selected specifically these three bodies of work because I wanted to present in a kind of more kind of generous way this constant investigation of how the body carries social, political, and emotional imprints, creating a space where personal and collective experiences merge, as well as seeking always to bridge the discrimination and dichotomies of our times. Here, I'm starting with this first recent work, which is called City. And it was in collaboration with Jim Fletcher, a renowned artist and actor of Wooster Group, presented at Kunstmuseum Liechtenstein. This performance is, in a way, a representation, let's say, of the urban forces, the urban tensions, and the negotiations of imposed or other, maybe also self-imposed rhythms, temporalities. The city, in a way, itself becomes a body. It is a body, an organism that shapes us, and we shape it by movements, repetition, decisions, distances, restraints, undercurrents, possibilities, unresolved endless negotiations. For this piece, occurs for this piece, the central is that we are in the city. We are the city within the institutions that we inhabit and we take care of and we are part of. It embodies, in a way, the city's dynamic that reflect on the institutions that we are displaying our works. We exist, we gather, we pass by, we put attention to. The performance's motive stems from the text that you see on the side. It's also the script that is displayed as street posters, that they are so much common in the streets of Athens. These posters become an initiator of movement accompanied by impromptu singing of hymns, such as Hymn for Gaza, animal, machines, sounds, and physical gestures of restraints and escapes. These sort of melodies that they come up within the performance are composed by me, but also within the collaboration with Jim Fletcher. And within the performance, we emphasize the city's layered and sometimes unnegotiable realities. The next one. Here, another claim, let's say, another attempt. Shelter Refuge 2022 presented at the Kunsthalle Freiart in Freiburg in Switzerland. Here, as you see, there are these double shelters resembling one another, cocoons of protection. Here, the body positions as both a threshold and a shelter, the site of exposure and concealment, a hiding, protective place, but also becomes the cocoon itself of inhabiting its own existence. Here, as you see, the body is not the human body only. The human is part of the shelter. The human body is part of the shelter. The body shelter is also the flesh body, the human body. Here, I'm engaging with somatic awareness as a form of resistance, exploring stillness, breath, endurance, and transform the performance's reality into a relationship with the space, and also with this interaction with the viewer, who is challenged to seek for the body to find the shelter. He, she, they seek to figure out where the body is in order to understand which is of the sculptures the shelter in the end. It is it is also the questions that arise. When does it mean to seek refuge? When the body becomes the sole place of safety, how do we inhabit spaces of care and isolation simultaneously? Is care only on terms of reaction to something that has happened, or it is a constant commitment to the present realities and the acknowledgement as the potential futures. The next one. And here is kind of the most, in a way, ambitious work that I have presented, and it's quite strange because with one photo, what can you capture for a piece that it was 28 sculptures of depiction of organs, 10 breathing scores of a 6-day performance, that it was simultaneously and in continuum at the same time in both Athens and Kassel, both reconfirming themselves as a non-binary place of existence. For me, that was kind of a thought experiment, nevertheless also very active and engaged adventure of this concept of dynami, which in Greek it means the potential of people coming together, the potential of relationships, interconnectiveness. The sculptures, the 28 sculptures, the doubles of 7 sculptures of organs, explore the body's internal mechanisms, as sites of strength and also vulnerability. There are also banners claiming space, claiming the city as a body of constant negotiation and representation and exchange, a dialogue. The idea, of course, of power, because we're afraid of this word these days, comes from Vandana Shiva's philosophy of a power that is not imposed is not imposed by already defined images of what it will be, but it is like a seed that is put on the soil and it is their carrier of life that stores energy and knowledge and needs to be taken its time to grow. So it is really about respecting each one of the participants' time, experiences, knowledges, practices, and that, of course, needs a lot of patience, and at the same time listening, and also a pause, like in the terms of stop, to stop, to go out, to be able, by going out, to give space to others, to work, to develop their practices, their interests. Through these works, I approach performance as a process of negotiation, a device, let's say, of negotiation, but also performance is a medium of visual arts that, because of its hybrid character, it is acting as a glue for all other mediums of visual arts. Mm-hmm. And that's, for me, has been always the intriguing and the inspiring and aspiring motive through the medium, to be able to explore and to be a participant of the things that come from performance. That's for now. Of course, performance transcends the event. It becomes a conditioning of being, a state that continuously suggests ways of being in the world within, of course, AMI's social, political, and environmental pressures.
Thank you very much, Georgia, for this. Lots to comment, of course, and we will go in the questions. Quite interesting that in your profile, I didn't mention the Documenta 14, of course, that Georgia was part with this last piece that you saw, which was years and years of preparation, but somehow we work so closely together that I forgot to mention about that. Lots of things to discuss about commoning, performance and stuff, but first we're going to hear what Bettina Busse will tell us about her take on performance. Thank you so much. And Bettina? next? You want to go to the next? We want to go to the next slide, if you can help us from the technical.
Please point the clicker to us and not to the screen.
Okay. We do. Maybe there. Maybe the other way. Okay, thank you for the. Good. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First of all, thank you for inviting me to be part of this panel today. I appreciate that very much. I'm, from the curatorial point. Maybe just a little introduction. My first point of contact with performance and happenings was actually an exhibition where I assisted on the subject on fluxes. So this is something, this is more about happenings, and I think this is something different what we are talking, at least at the context of Marina Abramovic. Then I was in close contact with Viennese actionism because I curated the Otto Mühl retrospective in Vienna at the MAC and in Hamburg at the Falkenberg collection, which is also a very special approach. My first encounter with Marina Abramovic took place in Berlin at the Kunstwerke. I think it was still organized by Klaus Biesenbach. I can't remember whether he was the director still or he already moved to New York. And she did a performance that was, I think it must be at the end of the 90s, where she was still really performing also her last, her long durance and performances, which she now stopped to do. She doesn't have the force from the body to do this. And since this exhibition, an exhibition with the artist has been on the top of my wish list. So I'm therefore very happy that it is really a big major retrospective of her work in very close cooperation with her since at least 3 years then, will take place at the Kunstforum Wien in October this year. The exhibition, as you can see, is not organized chronological. I really prefer to work with her according to chapters that were together developed with the artist, but according to the most important themes that run through her work. One focus of the exhibition will be the reenactments of her performances. This is also something which is for an institution of fine art a big challenge, because performances have a very different logistics than a normal exhibition. And it's an exhibition in the exhibition, which is a big challenge, but I really like this. And I think I have a wonderful team who's taking really care of that. I think you can see also a certain general trend in performance art from Marina Abramovic's work. I'm referring here to the model of Catherine Wood, the I for the individual, the we for the social, and the it for the object. For Abramovic, the I, the individual, was of course her starting point for the development of her first solo performances, which already unite 2 chapters. Again? Yeah, I pressed. What? Yeah, now is it. This is one chapter, public participation and the body limits. You see here Rhythm Zero from 1974. It's one of her first performances. It's in the Gallery Mora in Naples. The audience was invited to interact with the objects provided on a table. Yes, I think you can see it somewhere. Yeah, the first picture. And the artist as an object. The other big exhibition piece in context of the public participation, which really invites the audience, took place. I think this is one of her most famous performances. The artist is present in New York at the MoMA in 2010. I think most of you will know this. And here she was really sitting for 3 months, 8 hours a day in front of people. So there was always people coming and going. There are the famous photographs of her with Ulay, her ex-partner. They met again after, I think, 10 years in this show. I think this is something she did very often, to interact, but in a very different way. This was, I mean, there were between these two exhibitions or two performance pieces 20 years, or no, more, nearly 30 years. And I think she really changed a little bit the interaction she has with the audience, with the public. But we will see. I mean, The Body Limits may be her most well-known works. Abramovich stated in 1976, "I want to create a space in the public's bodies to think. They have to become aware of their own existence. I use my body as an instrument." This is the next, oops, no, this is one. This is a chapter she chose, which is very important to her, is Communist Body. She deals with her experience in the then communist Yugoslavia and also with the war. Marina Abramovich grew up in Belgrade and studied also there. And she has a very special family background. Her parents were partisans, and her father was a general then in the Yugoslavian state, and very close to Tito, actually. The Balkan Baroque is from 1997 and is her most complex work on her native country. And the work is shown in the Biennale di Venezia in 1997, and she got the Golden Lion for it. The next chapter I want to mention is The Energy from Nature. I hope it works now. This is Body Limits, which I talked already about. This is it, yeah. It's a chapter dedicated to her work after the split with Ulay in the late 80s. They separated. The last work they did together was a great walk on the Chinese Wall, when they met in the middle and then they split up. It was in 1988 and marks her second solo career. She began a series of objects, transitory objects for human use that are not intended as sculptures. I think the shoes are very famous, but as healing objects, more in the sense of boys. The work you see here, Sleeping Under a Banyan Tree from 2010, is a good example of Abramovich's interest in energy and intuitive connection with nature. It is about the embodiment of natural processes of growth, death, and renewal. These are also, for her, very important topics. And she made also a chapter of Coming and Going, which is really dealing about the process of nature, also of human nature, the birth, and then at the end you have the death. In the course of time, Marina Abramovich's work has increasingly focused on the exchange with the audience. She says, I exchange energy with the audience, and the audience is my Spiegel. Yes. And I think this is also a point of her performance now. She's really doing, because she's not doing the long-lasting pieces, as I mentioned before, but she's doing more like things now concentrated on the audience, as she did last year in a big festival for pop and rock music in the UK, where she had 200,000 people before her, and she was doing with them 8 minutes of silence. And she was very, very nervous about this because normally she is more in the context of art, in exhibitions, in performance halls, but never in a popular music context. So she wasn't sure whether she could transfer her energy to the audience, and she was very happy that this worked out. Maybe a brief comment: when Marina Fokidis invited me to take place at the panel and sent me the title "The City as a Performance," I was initially, you remember, unsure how Abramovich's work could be categorized here or would be fit in the context. But I think if you reformulate the question in terms of involving the audience, creating a community, then the reference, of course, is given. Abramovich is often called the godmother of performance art. I would rather prefer to call her a pioneer, because from the late 1960s, she engaged with the era's radical politic and artistic ideas, which expanded the definition of art beyond traditional media. And in the 70s, then she created, as quite a young student already, the forefront of the emerging discipline of performance art. And I think her big thing is shaping it as an art form and bringing it into the mainstream. Later work has expanded the definition of what performance can be, creating performative objects, exploring the possibility of performance without the presence of the artist, the reenactments. But I would also really like to emphasize and to mention that whilst she is best known for her performances, Abramovich is a multidisciplinary artist, working from the beginning across photography, sound, video, installation, and sculpture. And yes, thank you very much for listening, and
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Of course, lots to say and discuss about Marina Abramovich and your talk, and thank you for getting us into the insight. You know, quite interesting to think that her separation with Ulay, which was her life and art partner, happens in private, and we see it through a film maker, but never through with audience, while the kind of getting together again or speaking to each other happens only in the public. We don't know if it ever happened in private. So it's a kind of interesting thing to think, plus all this kind of coincidence with the city's performance. That was the initial title of the whole fair as well, and the performance of Georgia the city and what you were referring. But that will come back, and now we are moving to a totally different context, which is the context of Sao Paulo, Brazil, or you tell us, Selva. Yeah, Selva.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So I started showing these works that are actually here at the fair. I have some difficulty to say that I am a performer artist, because I really started as a visual artist working with embroidery and drawing, but then the performance and I think more of the dancing experience started to appear in my work. Well, I'm from São Paulo, Brazil, and I don't know if you know, but São Paulo, it's a very huge city in Brazil. But since I was really young, I've been going, because my family has a place in the Pantanal. It's a wild place there. So I've been always in this transit between the city and the wild. And for me, this experience that I had in the wild was so rich that I feel they come through the work and through the things that I do, because I really like to bring other perspectives and other narratives to the city. So I'm always doing this transit. And when I started to do my works, as embroidery has a lot of this repetition, I just needed some moments so I could feel like I was feeling more freedom. So while I was embroidering, I started to dance, and then as the embroidery happens with the fabric, it was like a natural thing to wear the fabrics and to try to incorporate and dance with these things. So I'm I I brought these images here because I really think that the performance happens during the work, during my practice. All the time I'm engaging with this, and I really like to capture the relations that the work they make with my body. So I have this work here that I started to do in 2000. Actually, I started to do some collaborations in 2022 with some other artists, so I could take the work to some places where we have like immersive programs with other people that can engage with the work. So in this work specifically, we had 30 women in this room, and I was with Morena Cardoso. It's another artist from Brazil. And we had 3 days immersive with these other women, and I took my works there so people could relate to it and dance with it. And we did lots of experiments with the body. Since through all my life, dancing is, I'm really interested in dancing, and I've been exploring ballet, jazz, and contemporary dance, then Afro dance and Buto, it's a Japanese dance. But I have some difficulty when it comes to choreography, because I really feel that I really feel a different force when I'm experiencing freedom in the movement, and as I'm at the studio all the time working with this repetitioning gestures and everything in the embroidery, I really feel that I can do. It's very difficult for me to do the choreography in a performance. So this is an experience that I'm doing. I'm taking these works to other places so we can create different relations with people. Oops. There was another one here. So this is a performance that I did with another artist, Raiz Carton, and Lorena Hollander. She was playing this instrument, the koto. And we did this experiment also in relation with the work. So it was a work with ceramics and fabric. And we did this experience of dancing. It was a mirroring dance that we could relate to the work and also getting in relation to one another. And so I really feel it's a very different experience when you set a place and you perform for a public. But what I really like in my practice is when I feel the performance happening through the work in the everyday working at the studio, and engaging in different relations with the body of the work. So I sometimes think about the performance happening more as an activation of these other bodies. So just
There were 3 images.
yes. So just coming back to this, because I really think that in Brazil we have these different cultures, the indigenous cultures and also Afro. And I spent some time in the Amazon getting into these relations, and they have these experiences of incorporating other presences and other entities. And I just feel that it's an experience that it uh, it really gets us into other states of presence. And performance for me is this really state of surrender and nudity. And I really into exploring all this, but it's like it's a constant discovery in my work. It's a constant dialogue that I'm trying to create, also with the work of art and with my body.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Selva. And also, this is, while you were talking, brings into my mind many of also questions of your three people speaking from different contexts, of course, some more similar than others, but also your context, which is quite different geographically, let's say, reminded me of different times in Brazil, how natural is this activation of objects and transition. We tend to spectacularize it in the West, but then it's quite natural. And one example I had from Bahia, or two, is that, for example, there was this lady, which I forget her name, a very known ceramicist, that she made ceramic in the North Brazil. Now she's dead, a UNESCO monument, her studio. But to break for her work, she would dance. And that was, she was 120, no, I don't know, 2 or 3, and that was quite normal. I mean, I've been in her studio, it was kind of, and then, like, so the break was the dancing. The ceramic was happening together with the dancing in a very natural way. And another thing, in the nature in Bahia, I remember there was a pond where there were frogs, like I tell you, that they were meowing, like cats, but like completely meowing. So at a certain point, when I realized they are frogs, I said to a passerby, hey, you know, these are not cats, they're frogs that meowing. I mean, they're completely weird. Something is wrong. He said, yeah, they are meowing, but why is so strange? You know? So this kind of mixing that is happening in Brazil and the hybridity is kind of quite interesting. You know, I was on my feet, like there were frogs that they were pretending to be cats, but for everyone around, that was something completely performative and normal. So I just wanted to bring the everydayness to the different contexts of these three artists. But we will start with, should I start with one question to each, like the way we spoke? Are you, yeah, whatever. I can also say questions and then you. No, I was thinking when I was hearing you, Georgia, about the way you incorporate the city into your body, and also the way you somehow performing the commoning experience. And when I was thinking the city as a performance, as a title to this talk and to the fair, the idea was not so much about the medium of performance, but of what it is to be in a city, how you perform your locality or your non-locality or your. And I thought then, when I saw the performance of Georgia, that coincidentally, you know, in the same time was called the city, that maybe that comes a little bit also from our ancestry of Plato, which polis in the Platonic sense means a conglomerate of citizens. So who makes the city is the people that they inhabit it. They inhabit the geographical and not the borders of the land. You know what I mean? So I wanted to ask you a bit about that. Not so much the technical engagement with the audience, but mostly how you incorporate the public, the public on that sense, the public as human in your own body, and how you also create this pocket of resistance, citizens' resistance within your practice.
Yeah, I tend to um, enter a work through a priori being a participant. So meaning that I'm not integrating within a certain public, or the work, it doesn't claim some kind of attention to create public. It is already part of a public. It's already an initiator of a commoning. as being part of a member of a chorus, for example. Chorus is the citizens within the ancient drama. The performer in that sense is not separated, is not presenting something, but it is engaging, connecting with another that is also herself. So it's not to underline the separation, but to remind that there is already a connection, which is not, let's say, it's not celebrated. It's not appreciated in that way, which could allow forms of practices, forms of engagement, forms of conversation to arise, which also means forms of new ways of being in the world, of potential languages. Articulations, syntaxes. So for me, that's very important. The entering within the performance is an attraction, and it's not a stable ground. It is always in constant transformation. And that's for me very important in performance as a medium. And that's why I say again and again as a medium, because within the medium of performance, we already accept the mortality of the piece, which is the most important element of the medium itself. And it's the only one that carries that awareness, that the moment that it is appearing, it is also non-existing. And that's, for me, extremely intriguing. And it's something that, of course, brought me into this medium from the beginning. The other fact, though, is also that there is no such as ownership. There is a limbo. There is a limbo of ownership within the moment of performance, even though there is let's say the motive, the drive to be engaged, to be included within the a priori commoning of what you do, of who you are doing and how you are doing. At the same time, there is a recognition that this that you do is not anymore yours. And that's also very beautiful in terms of what performance brings in the contemporary discourse of visual arts. There is this opening of interconnectedness in such a way that ownership is almost kind of ridiculous to talk about. It's like, it doesn't exist. There's no reason to exist, because the moment that it exists is not anymore a performance, in my opinion.
That's kind of interesting, and I will go to reenactment. Hearing you, another Greek term. Sorry, it sounds all Greek to you, but we are some Greeks here. We have to bring our ancestry on the table. But the term comes to me, and it's called methexis. And this is a term that comes from methi and methanol and all this, so it means you are in a kind of another state, mind state. Which was something that was taken from us from the Enlightenment, because we were more closer to the Brazilian animism and others. So methexis in the ancient world was this moment you just described, the moment of in predictability, unpredictability. The moment that something happens, as we talk now, between us and you, it's somewhere in the middle. We cannot see it, but it can only happen in this room because of you and us, and will never happen again the same. So that's what I think you refer to as not your own, or yeah.
And of course, in that, we really need to make sure that when we say performance, we don't mean, this kind of human-centric status of the body, of the body of the artist, or of the perception of a body state, but an expansion of how you also told us over email, this kind of body field, which for me is very important in terms of an expansion of an expansion of how we, in a way, comprehend or like
Modify?
Modify, mutate in a sense within the environments that we are and co-inhabit. So it's more about the cohabitation, rather than a mere presentation or static projection of a future, or an understanding or a restoration of the past.
Yeah, I mean, totally understood that. Yet again, I will go and discuss with my fellow curator, Bettina, here, about the reenactment, about the preservation. I mean, you gave me a lead, Georgia, about the marketability of the performance, because I totally agree with you, but yet again, there is an authorship, there is an artist. Yes, I'm just complexifying here. Of course, the moment will never happen again, and I totally am with you, but life in the art world has to continue, and the preservation. So you were just starting, Bettina, speaking about the reenactment of performance and the preservation in terms of Marina Abramovic, let's say, or other artists. If you want to tell us a bit more about that and how.
Well, I think first of all, there's a big difference because between your work and Abramovic's work, because you, like, I know you work from Kassel, not from Kassel, from Athens, sorry. Yeah, and Kassel, but I didn't see it in Kassel, I know, of course. But and you, I mean, you left the setting, I mean, of the museum or galleries, or the specialized art context settings. And I think Marina, she went, I mean, she does opera, but she's always connected to an art setting. Might be a theater, opera house, museums. A room, yes.
Georgia, I mean, it was documented. It was an art setting, but you mean she went to the street.
I mean, it was outside also, and now I think and this makes a different connection, I think, to the audience, because it can be also an audience passing by, and it's not, if I go to an exhibition or to an opera house or whatever, I go there because I want to see something and I expect something. I think this makes also a difference in engaging with the audience, and I think this is. I think she is really. She does it always in this fine art setting or art setting. Let's put it this way, and the reenactments. When she started with the performance, she always had someone who took photographies. I mean, her work is quite well documented. I mean, this is all, the films or the video came a little bit later, and of course the first in the 70s were not so good, and they were not digitalized, and so this is also a very technical problem in a way. But she was also aware of this, and I think she had really from the start in mind to preserve this. I think she wasn't thinking about her legacy in her 30s, but she wanted to have it documented. So this makes it easier for us now to show her work, of course, because we have nearly from every performance series of photographs, or the later ones films. And she also made in 2005, she did this enactments by herself of the old performances, and she changed them a little bit. And this is very well documented. There's really a film about this. And I mean, for showing her in a museum, of course, it's easier if you have this documentation, because I think a little bit the thing at the MoMA show in 2010 was that they were all over, she did a performance and you had all over performances, reenactments. And this was not...
Can I ask something?
Yes.
In terms of...
I want to comment something, and then we go to your question. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, for example, one is the photography, as you say, and the documentation, that it's quite, but then the question or the thought is how you capture. That was what Georgia was referring before, the moment of, and this is the reenactment.
Yeah. But this, I think this is the problem, and this was also why she started then with reenactments, because I think she thinks if there is nobody performing her pieces, they will die, because of course a documentation in film, video, whatever, is never the same, can't never be the same. I think this is clear. I think this is really clear.
I think that's the reason I said before that there is something very radical in performance, exactly because it happens through the very deep awareness of its death.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, extremely strong in the moments that we are living. And in this kind of pressure of maintenance in such level of control and fixation of something that it also remains new and young.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what it is, let's say, the adding of the medium right now of performance. And it's of course challenging because we are not educated as visual arts, as you said, as visual artists, to confront that very fact of the disappearance, of the destruction, of the transformation, of the change, of the constant definition of who we are, what we're doing, and
how it's
going to be.
Well, I want to just to go to Selva, and then we can do the complexify this a little bit more. Having been in some rituals of Egun or Candomblé, or in Brazil where things don't die, also they are not being documented because the ancestors are coming back in the form of a performance. And they, of course, they come back as clothes that they are dancing. And then I was asking, because I got a little bit in the cult, oh yeah, there I see their feet, or there are people that they are dancing. And somebody of them told me, well, you are in the wrong question. Don't look down, look up, because obviously, that's my take, might not, there are a specificity of how you dance, your ancestry, and how the dead people come back. And this knowledge passed from person to person, not through photos, because you can't, but it does. And things don't die, and the culture is very well preserved. The same with indigeneity and all this. And I think that in your work, I see these references, specifically when you show us the work where you perform while in process of making a work. So it's always alive, with the audience or not. So I want you to tell us a bit about this non-ending circle, but not also documented in a way, documented only through body to body, which is beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's, for me, the beauty is in this living experience. And I think that when you say about the candomblé and the incorporating of this other entities. I feel that it's like getting into these alternative states of consciousness, of mind, where you just feel these forces getting into your body is like, and you feel that there isn't an end of it. And you're in a constant transformation, and you're in constant dialogue with these other forces. And you see also in Brazil, there is the carnival, and is also this moment where people can experience these really deep connections with the other people there, and also they use they perform with fantasies, they put a lot of things, and so it's a very cathartic moment. But in the carnival, it has an end to it. It's a little bit a different experience where people, they feel like they can do anything they want for like a week of carnival, and then this experience it's dies a little bit, but then it comes back the other year, and it comes back the other year. And I feel that in my work, in my practice, daily practice, I am constantly evoking these forces so I can be in touch with it and in contact with it. And it's really, it's for me, it's really strong experience to just be in touch with this invisible force, and try to really enter into this other state of being. And what I really like to do also in my practice, while I'm working, I really like to engage with these other creatures. Like I was talking to a friend, maybe I think he's here, engaging with different creatures more than human, you know. So in my studio, there are a lot of spiders there. And so I'm always in conversation with these other creatures. And I feel that it's a way that we can get a more sensible body, and maybe we can relate not even with other creatures, but with other people in different ways, and having a more natural and a respectful way of living, you know.
May I just,
Yes,
because
sure.
I think that's what you're telling now, what we are talking about now, Brazil is a very important place for Marina Abramovic. She spent a lot of time there exploring all this, of course, spiritual ways of being, the rituals and everything. And I think for her it's now, there was a point where she said, okay, I don't know how old she was, but she was thinking about what I'm doing with my work, because I think the main work she did was really the performance art, or her performance pieces in a way. And for her, it's more the motive to give them away, to give other people the chance to do it also. And I mean, when she's saying you can do the reenactment, of course you have, there's, I mean, she had a very, she has a methodology now, and you have to get prepared after, they have to be a week in like a closed chair, and be alone and silent, not eating, like this. But I think it's a preparation.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I think Marina Abramovic realized that in Brazil she's being given a chance, and she's not giving a chance. She's learning from, you know,
No,
that's
she's
time.
learning from.
That's
No,
time.
she
Sometimes the West and the non-West.
no.
is like,
She learned from them.
Yeah.
This is clear to her.
Yes.
No. When she talks about this, is very clear to her. But she wanted then, because she learned a lot there, I think. And I mean, she always explored this spirituality. But I think, especially in Brazil, she learned a lot. And I think afterwards, really it was a very important point for her, also to give her work in a way away. I mean, the only thing is we have the one reenactment. It's a performance with Ulay. She did the Imponderabilia, and this is a homage to him also because he died in 23. This is a little bit problematic for me because this is,
That's interesting to
yeah, because this is, I mean, this is a work they did together. It was, I think, the first thing they did in 79 in Italy at the art fair or at the museum in Bologna. And they're standing naked in a door and you have to pass through. And this is a very important piece to her, and she absolutely wants us to do this. I think, fine, I mean, people love it, but I think this is it's a difference if you do it with a partner, if you're in two or you're alone. And this change, for me, it changes really the setting and the meaning also a little bit.
Maybe you should choose couples
In
to do it.
connection, yeah.
No, but this is because Ulay agreed, because they had, I mean, this was a whole story because they did a lot together. And he agreed for the reenactment, but he wants to have a male body. So this is his, yeah.
But in terms now of what we were saying before, I wanted to say also how important it is for, you know, and you see that also with the piece that I have here at the Spark, from the piece Work in the No Work of these three garments that I brought from like a larger installation that was part of the Whitney Biennial in 2012. For me, it's very important also the agency that is given to the objects, and not so much taking agency from the event and from the human, basically, interaction. So, so in a way, there is a given, in a way, trust that the objects will carry the information that needs to be carried for the activation of the piece to take place, without necessarily being a depiction, a straightforward depiction of a documentation. And that's, I think, that's also the most interesting part of sculpture in that sense, because the objects carry information that for many different people could signify something else, and they can become the activators of the movement that the object needs in order for also the performance to happen. So there can be an open, in a sense, interpretation within the objects of visual arts. They shouldn't be confined in like a specific historical moment that in a way restrains them to be only memorabilia or artifacts of something that needs to always reconfirmed. So for me, that has been always, in a way, the undercurrent of performance within this tension that is built, of course, in visual arts and also within the art market, of the separation between object and subject, between the body of the artist and the body of the audience. So here it is that objects themselves care to carry the message. And they don't need to be carried only by us activating them.
I mean, it works both ways. Look, ladies, I allow us 14 minutes more because we started a bit later, and we can go on forever between us. But there is another lecture performance after us of Slavs and Tatars that is gonna speak about how it is to speak for the other, you know, which is also quite interesting continuation. If there is something really urgent you want to say, I can take it, Selva, or if there is a really urgent question, we can take a couple. Is there, there is somebody? Yeah.
Hi, thank you for all your sharing your practices. I have a question about the embodiment of time. In the case of Bettina, I was just wondering how approximately the show that you're working on is similar to the one that was already shown in London, the survey show. Because basically that same performance that you were talking about of Marina and Ulay was kind of reenacted, but it was really funny because there was a beautiful sculpted male body and an even more beautiful female body positioned in front of a doorway where everyone was watching and taking pictures. Now, I've seen the performance of Marina and Ulay, and that was a very different experience, you know, where actually people were brushing against them, some didn't even notice them, and that discomfort could not be, it's not that the performance cannot be repeated, it's more that our sense of time is different, you know, because like also with that show, all of Marina's former works were shown almost like, it felt like a slideshow. It was just so fast. Oh yeah, so I just wanted to just ask all of you, what is the expression of time? Like how does time play out in your work? Because when we talk about radical performance, we also talk about durational, long, hard performances. So yeah, thanks.
Bettina?
Maybe I answer first. Yeah, I mean, I think the Imponderabilia performance in London had one problem because you were not obliged to go through. You could go around and miss it out, and this I think was a problem a bit because then it was like watching a piece, and it's not a piece to watch; it's a piece to feel in a way. I think this was very problematic for me. This will be different here. You have to go through or you have to enter the show in from the backwards, which is fine for me. The other thing, of course, long durational pieces we will do. I think I mean, in London it was maybe a bit too much, not the long durational pieces, but the slideshows, and it was, yeah, I think it should be more concentrated on less pieces maybe. And in order to give the chance to feel or to to explore a long durational performance. So this concept has changed here. Because I was talking about this, what I think was a little bit problematic with the artist.
Very well. We will look forward. Any other question? Is there something else? No? Do you want to say something, Selva?
No, it's just a reference because I was reading a book from a Brazilian writer. She's called Leda Maria Martins, and it's the title of the book is it's performing in a spiral time. So she talks a lot about this embodied and living experience of this time in a spiral that never dies, and that how the performance happens and through this movement.
Can you repeat the writer?
Leda Maria Martins.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
But also we need to acknowledge the very fact that as artists, we need to allow ourselves to be possessed by different durations of systems, structures, in order to be able to in a way, salute something that it might be hidden or something that it is too overwhelming seeing, and bring it more into the distance, into something that can be unapproachable. For me, the duration is very important in terms of as a material. Duration for performance is material. Certain works need to be on the clock, like the capital clock, you know, the 8 to 5, you know, the work, the labor time. Others need to be able to express other temporalities and to allow the passerby, the participant, the possessed to experience these temporalities.
I'm going to have to cut us here. Sorry for this. Duration, problems with capital time. Yeah, so thank you so much. And for the ones that they're inside and for your friends that they're outside and whoever wants to continue, and I hope you will, in about 15 minutes, we will have the Slavs and Tatars, Payam Sharif from Slavs and Tatars giving his lecture performance here in this theater. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.